repay. We are talking about the amino acid cysteine, the hardening amino acid, the animal protein amino acid. Actually, it's found in all high protein foods, including mushrooms and beans, soy, hemp seed as well. But it really is basically, or largely anyway, an animal protein. If you're deficient or you're a vegan, if you're not getting enough animal protein or you're vegan or vegetarian, you may be deficient in cysteine. Cysteine, as we've said, is a hardening amino acid. Nails, hair, skin all get their resilient quality largely because of their high content of cysteine. That means animal protein can be your best friend if you're dealing with some kind of skin health issue, or your hair is not as beautiful and luxurious as you think it should be, or if you got brittle nails too. That can be a sign of a cysteine deficiency. The hardening effect that cysteine gives you, it comes from a little piece of sulfur that it contains. Later on, we'll be talking about how cysteine can help the body detox via the magnetic properties of this little element of sulfur. Later on, or after that, we'll be talking about the toxic effects of cysteine, at least a form of cysteine that most of you guys have heard of. But for now, I want to talk about cysteine's relationship to skin health and beauty and things that we oftentimes consider to be superficial, but really may be indicative of some internal systemic long-term problem, much more than cosmetic or superficial issues. If you have psoriasis or acne or eczema, you may be dealing with some kind of internal problem as well. Many skin diseases are caused by defects in cysteine, in cysteine-containing protein, actually, and that's the protein that's called keratin. One of the key ideas of what I call the bright side philosophy is the idea that all disease is cell disease. That should be our mantra. If we're interested in health and longevity and wellness and feeling better, this should be our mantra. All disease is cell disease. Why haven't you heard this, except for here on the bright side? Well, basically because the medical paradigm, the medical model, is helpless at the level of a cell. This is one of the fundamental ideas of the bright side philosophy. All disease is cell disease, and the corollary of that is that your doctor can't do anything for you at the level of a cell. The medical model can only poison a cell or remove a cell through surgical procedures, or maybe stick a device in the body that will change something about a cell. But a cell really is not amenable to being manipulated by the medical model. Only God can affect the cell through nutrition, through oxygenation, and through detoxification. When I say God, I mean God through our behaviors, through our lifestyle choices. Cells become defective due to nutritional deprivation, i.e. starvation, lack of oxygen, i.e. suffocation, as well as an accumulation of wastes, i.e. toxification. Starvation, suffocation, toxification all lead to cellular defects, changes in how a cell functions. And what is a cell's most important function? What is the most important thing a cell does? It makes things. A cell makes stuff. A cell is a little miniature biological factory. That's pretty much it. So when we say all disease is cell disease, what we really mean is all disease is some kind of breakdown in how cells are making stuff. They'll either make the wrong stuff, they'll either make too much stuff, or they'll make too little stuff. They'll make defective stuff, too much stuff, or too little stuff, or some combination thereof. That's it, friends. I don't care if it's kidney disease, or skin disease, or heart disease, or cancer, or osteoporosis, or autoimmune issues, whatever. Whatever. If you have a health issue, you have a cell issue. And if you have a cell issue, that means a cell is not making what it needs to make. It's either making too much of it, too little of it, or the wrong stuff, or some combination thereof. When it comes to skin diseases, acne, psoriasis, eczema, the stuff that isn't being produced is the protein keratin, the cysteine-containing protein keratin. Remember, the technical name for a skin cell, we're calling it generically a skin cell, colloquially a skin cell, but the real name of a skin cell is a keratinocyte. That means a cell that makes keratin. A skin cell is a cell that makes keratin. A skin cell is a cell that depends on cysteine. A skin cell is a keratin-making cells. That is their main function. All disease is cell disease, and all skin disease is skin cell disease. And that means that all skin disease is keratin oocyte disease. You think that makes cystine and keratin important for skin diseases? You better believe it does. All right, we'll continue when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back after this. Don't go away. All right, we're talking about keratinocytes. Cells that make keratin, and those are skin cells. If you got a skin issue, you got a skin cell issue. Got a skin issue, you got a skin cell issue. All disease is cell disease, and for the most part, skin cell disease is keratin disease, either an overexpression of this hard protein keratin or an underexpression or the wrong kind of keratin or some combination thereof. If you get little bumps, little hard bumps that form on the skin, those are called milia. Doctors or dermatologists sometimes call them keratoses, which obviously is a keratin problem, keratoses. Or if you get pimples or if you get psoriasis, you're pretty much dealing with an overexpression of keratin, perhaps in combination with defective keratin production. Remember, all of this is coming from starvation, suffocation, and toxification. Why is this important? Well, it's important because we're in control of that, folks. Not your doctor, not your dermatologist. No drugs can help you here, but we can help ourselves at the level of starvation of a cell, suffocation of a cell, and toxification of a cell. That means if you got those little hard bumps, the milia, or if you got pimples, you're dealing with acne, you're dealing with psoriasis, we're in charge. You're in charge. Our decisions, our lifestyle choices are where these things come from. Basically, from not being on a good nutritional supplement program, not eating the right kinds of food, digestive problems. All of these play the significant role when it comes to keratin problems and skin diseases. In the case of eczema, maybe not enough keratin, or perhaps, again, the wrong kind of keratin. The bottom line, however, whether you're dealing with eczema, or whether you're dealing with keratoses, or milia, or acne, or psoriasis, you're dealing with a defect in keratin production, some kind of malfunction in the way skin cells, keratinocytes, the way keratin-making cells are going about their business. Now remember, all disease is cell disease. When it comes to health, it's all about the cell, the function of a cell. All disease is cell disease means all disease is cell function disease. And the function of a cell depends on its structure, depends on its shape. Biologists refer to this relationship as structure-function. Structure-function means that the function depends on the structure. The function of a cell depends on the shape of a cell. Conversely, malfunction of a cell is a breakdown in the shape of a cell. Some kind of defect in the structure of a cell. So if a cell's not doing its business, if it's not making protein correctly, that's its business, to make things. If a cell isn't making stuff correctly, you can rest assured that it's misshapen. It's got the wrong kind of structure, the wrong kind of shape. When the shape or the structure of a cell is off, it follows then that the misshapen cell will then malfunction. All disease is cell disease means misshapen cells are the cause of diseases via this malfunctioning. This is where starvation, suffocation, and toxification play their role. They change the shape of a cell, which in turn causes the cell to malfunction. Can you picture this? The cell is sitting in an environment. It's basically swimming in nutrients and in oxygen and in hopefully not in poisons, in a clean environment. But when poisons start to accumulate, or the cell is starved, or the cell is lacking oxygen, it starts to change shape. This is where disease begins. And where in the cell does it begin? Where does this change in shape start to take place? Well, quite obviously, it takes place, the first place that cell shapes start to go awry, where the cell becomes misshapen, is at the boundary of a cell, the outer portion of a cell. The cell, what we call the cell membrane. This is the place where the cell meets the toxic, starved, suffocated environment, the outer portion of a cell, the cell membrane. All disease is cell disease. All skin disease is skin cell disease. And all skin cell disease is first and foremost skin cell membrane disease. This is so important. That means that if we got something wrong with our skin, if we're breaking out in zits, if we are have milia, keratosis, if we got psoriasis, we have a skin cell membrane problem. The coating of a cell is misshapen. The membrane of a cell is the single most important structure in all of biology. The membrane of a cell is the single most important structure in all of health. That's a huge statement, folks. If you want to do one thing, just one thing for your health and longevity, if you want to do one thing to improve your acne skin, it's not proactive. Let me tell you, proactive is not going to do a thing for your cells. A thing. Those commercials about Proactive with the Katy Perry and movie stars and anonymous teenagers who are all smiley and happy because they use their Proactive are lies. They're dishonest. They're rip-offs. They're stealing. They're nefarious and twisted and evil, and the people writing those stupid commercials have nothing to do with health. They're marketers and advertisers. They got PhDs in figuring out how to manipulate you and take your money. That's what Proactive is about. It's not about your health. That's because if you got acne or any other skin disease, you got a skin cell disease, a skin cell membrane disease, and that's a big, big statement. You know, if you've listened to this program for any length of time, you know that our main focal point for keeping our cells healthy and slowing down the aging process and keeping our skin beautiful is the health of a cell. Now you know it's the health of a cell membrane. Without addressing the cell membrane, we can't really address the health of a cell. All disease is cell disease, and the cell membrane is the key to cell disease, and ultimately the key to cell health and the key to all health. And folks, the membrane is no mere covering. I've been calling it a candy coating, like an M&M. The candy coating on an M&M, if a cell is an M&M, the membrane would be the candy coating, but that's really doesn't tell you what it is. The membrane, folks, check this out. The membrane of a cell is the brain of a cell, not the nucleus. People think it's the nucleus of a cell, but you know what? If you take the nucleus out of a cell, the cell will just live fine for months. You can't live without a brain. Nothing can live without a brain, but a cell can live without a nucleus. That tells you right there the nucleus isn't the brain. What is the only part of a cell that cannot be removed? What is the part of a cell that if you remove will cause the death of a cell, the same way that if you remove the brain out of your head will cause your death? What is the only part of a cell that accounts for the life force, the livingness of a cell? It's the coating, it's the covering, it's the membrane. You remove the membrane of a cell, you don't have a cell. That's because the membrane, in addition to providing the boundary, the structure of a cell, is the brain of a cell. It's the intelligence of a cell. It's the part that processes the information that comes from the outside. It processes the starvation or the nutrition. It processes the oxygenation or the suffocation. And it processes the cleanliness or the toxification. The key to health, whether we're talking heart disease, autoimmune disease, or skin disease, is the membrane of a cell. If you want to do one thing to maintain your health, if you want to do one thing to reverse your skin diseases, focus on that cell membrane. I'm going to tell you how to do that when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. Tomorrow we'll talk about the cell membrane, this brain part of a cell. If you're interested in learning about that, or if you want to get an interesting take on it anyway, read The Biology of Belief, Bruce Lipton's first book. Bruce Lipton is for you guys who don't know, Bruce Lipton is a molecular biologist, and he's the first guy, at least the first guy I heard talk about the idea of the cell membrane, the outer portion of a cell, as being an information processor. Very akin to a computer chip. It stores information, it processes information. If you're like electrical kinds of things, the cell membrane is a liquid crystal semiconductor. What that basically means is it holds on to energy and processes information, much like a computer chip does. And this is why when you have defects in that cell membrane, you can have defects in the cell. It changes the function of a cell, and this is where disease begins. When we say all disease is cell disease, what I really mean is all disease is cell membrane disease. That means understanding the function of this membrane and the structure of this membrane is really, really important. And I'll give you a clue to what we're going to talk about tomorrow, and that's the idea of fats and cholesterol. This is where one of the places where cholesterol plays its really significant role in health is in the stability and the integrity of a cell membrane, which is some 60% cholesterol. Tell that to the next boneheaded medical professional who tells you got to worry about your cholesterol and how much cholesterol you're making, and you got to take a drug that suppresses cholesterol production. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. And if you're dealing with acne, or you're dealing with psoriasis or eczema or milia, those little hard bumps that form on the skin, or keratoses, you're dealing with a skin cell membrane issue, and that means you want to focus on fats and fatty vitamins and fat absorption. And considering that fat malabsorption syndrome is such a significant problem, you can see why so many people have skin health issues. But we'll continue talking about that tomorrow as we move on talking about cysteine and amino acids and proteins and all the different ways that amino acids and cells and cell membranes can affect health. And on things you can do about it as well. Tomorrow we'll tell you about some of the things that you can do if you're dealing with acne or you're dealing with milia or keratoses or any skin disease. We'll talk about how you can stabilize and strengthen and help repair that cell membrane using foods, using nutrition, using nutritional supplements, and using dietary and digestive and lifestyle strategies. Okay, we've got a full board. When you hear somebody drop off, if you want to give us a shout, it's 855-660-4261. We'll try to get to all our callers today, so if you're on hold, hang tight. We'll see if we can squeeze everybody in. Tara in North Carolina, you're first up. Welcome to the bright side. What's up?
Hi. I called about the Highland baby colic tablets, but actually what you're talking about right now about the cell disease, my daughter was born with a skin disease. She came out of the womb with, and what the dermatologist thinks it is Ilven.
Is what?
And
say that again, ma'am.
Ilven.
I don't know what that is.
Inflammatory linear verrucous epidermal nevus.
Dude, yeah, man, that makes me so angry. Okay, let's break that apart. I never even heard it. Hang on, I want to break that apart for you. Inflammatory, I never heard of that acronym. Inflammatory lymphatic, did you say?
Inflammatory linear.
Linear, okay.
Verrucous.
Oh, God. Neurosis, okay.
It starts with a V, verrucous.
Oh, verrucous, okay.
Yeah, epidermal nevus.
They should be ashamed of themselves, those idiot dermatologists. Idiot dermatologists.
Yeah, we've been going in circles since she was born, and my friend told me about Dr. Wallach, and so I've been going that direction, trying to look for answers. And
okay, I want you to go over that again. Inflammatory linear verrucous epidermal nevus, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
That is dumb asses. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Dumb donkeys. You know, here's the deal. It's an inflammatory disease of the skin. It has nothing to do with any of those stupid words. By the way, inflammatory linear verrucous epidermal nevus. Now, what do you think happens when somebody who doesn't know medicine or doesn't know health hears that? It freaks you out. It totally freaks you out. And if you go to the dermatologist or the dermatologist tells you have Ilven, they'll also tell you there's no cure for it, right? Did they tell you that part?
Yes.
Right? Because they're boneheads. You know, medicine in general, aside from heroic medicine, surgical medicine, you know, and that is very helpful, obviously. If you get hit by a car, you have a heart attack, or you need some surgery, obviously you need a surgeon. But ambulatory medicine is absolutely, it's so stupid when it comes to health. That's why it's such a failure. But the dumbest of the dumb is dermatology. All right? Because the only thing they can give you is anti-inflammatories and immune suppressants. Here's the bottom line. Yeah. When you have an inflammatory condition of the skin, by definition, literally, you have an immune problem. This is how inflammation shows up. The immune system, the body's defensive system, is somehow protecting itself, and the inflammatory process, believe it or not, is a manifestation of the protective response. Here's what you do, and you can tell that it's an immune problem, by the way, because what kind of drugs do they give you for inflammatory linear verrucous epidermal nevus or anything else? What do they give you? They give you an immune suppressant. Because obviously, bonehead dermatologists, obviously, it's an immune problem. I'm sorry that I'm getting all upset here. I'm going to calm down. Let me take a deep breath. Your baby has a problem with her immune system. Now, this could be due to an allergic reaction, something that she's not processing correctly, or it can also be a problem with defective skin cell shapes We're going to talk about this tomorrow. When the shape of a skin cell becomes defective, it becomes an enemy to the body, and the body's immune system will be activated. Think about it. You have cells, they're supposed to have a certain shape. But if the shape is incorrect due to starvation, suffocation, intoxication, that cell then becomes interpreted by the defensive system as an enemy, and that triggers the immune response. So here's what you need to do. Step number 1, all right? You got to figure out what's getting in your breast milk that is, or what's in the breast milk that is, if there is anything in the breast milk that's, I assume you're breastfeeding, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so something's in the, possibly, this isn't 100%, but it's a possibility, something's in the breast milk that's activating the baby's immune system. Do you have food allergies or food intolerances or digestive issues? About it. Yes, no.
I don't know.
Okay, well, that's a good question. That's a fair answer. You got to find out, though. You got to find that out. That's very important, because if you're passing allergens through your breast milk, your baby's going to react to that. So you got to find out if you have any problems with dairy, with grains, with legumes, beans, soy, anything really. It could be anything, but dairy and grains are the number 1 and number 2 problems. But it could be anything. You got to find that out, because as soon as you eliminate your the food allergens that are getting your milk, if there are any, chances are your baby's skin condition is going to improve right from the get-go. And if you had digestive problems while the baby was in the womb, that could have caused the problem in the womb and at birth. So I'm guessing, number 1, that you got some kind of digestive issues, and you're passing those problems through the toxins and allergens through your breast milk. That's number 1. Number 2, get your baby or through your breast milk, you should be on a good probiotic supplement. Get on the Biolumin Nightly Essence. Take 3 in the morning and 3 at night, and then also eat lots of fermented foods: kefir, miso, tempeh, kimchi, sauerkraut. Anything that's fermented is going to be in your interest, and that will help support the baby's health. Was the baby born vaginally or cesarean?
Vaginally.
Okay, so chances are the baby got his or her coating of bacteria. Focus on digestive health and wellness. That's first and foremost. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the relationship of fats and fatty vitamins to skin health. So you're going to want to make sure that you're getting your fatty vitamins too. Hang tight, because there's a couple more things I want to tell you about how you can tell if you're dealing with fat malabsorption problems, Tara, so don't go away. And then if you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get to all our callers when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network, and we'll be back right after this. Back on The Bright Side, Tara in North Carolina. You there, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so as far as your baby goes with the inflammatory linear varicose epidermal nevus, which are basically overgrowth of skin cells, as we've been talking about, just kind of like a psoriasis type of disorder. The main treatment is immune suppressant steroids. Topical steroids is what they typically will give you. Sometimes they'll give you moisturizers. They give you what kind of steroid? They give you Lidex cream or betamethasone or something like that, right, for the baby? As if
yeah, they gave us urea cream, and I did not like it.
Okay, well, urea is not as bad as a steroid cream, but in general, the treatment is urea is designed to scrape off. It's a special medicine that scrapes off that surface, those cells that are growing too fast. If cells grow too fast, you probably got yourself some kind of immune condition that's affecting the skin cells, causing them to become misshapen and causing them to grow too fast, etc. So here's what you need to do. Number 1, you want to focus on food allergies and something that's getting into your milk. If the baby's breastfeeding, that means you're the culprit here, because it's something that it's getting into your milk. So focus on your own food intolerances or food allergies. If you don't know you have them, look for them. Secondly, start focusing on digestive health for yourself. That's the probiotics and the fermented foods. The Biolumin Nightly Essence from Youngevity is the best probiotic supplement that you could find, the best one I've seen, because not only does it have a full spectrum of probiotics in generous amounts, but it also has digestive enzymes in there as well that can help support digestion. So get on the Biolumin Nightly Essence, 3 in the morning, 3 at night. You should probably get on the It's called Biolumin, that's the company, and the product is called the Nightly Essence. You can find it off my website, brightsideben.com, or you can call 866-735-2470. They can tell you about it. You might also want to start using the Z-Radical product, which is also very effective for digestive health. And then secondly, and we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, when you have a skin disease, you have a skin cell disease. When you have a skin cell disease, you got a skin cell membrane disease. The skin cell membrane is mostly composed of fats. So you want to start focusing on fat malabsorption problems. Use fatty vitamins. Vitamin A, you should be on 20,000 international units of that a day. You want to be on 400 IU a day of vitamin E. Make sure you're getting some sun. It wouldn't hurt you to get your baby out into the sun as well. And then also make sure you're on the Ultimate Essential Fatty Acids, Ultimate EFAs from Youngevity. If you find that you're gassy or bloating or you have bowel movement problems or heartburn after you take your fatty vitamins or your essential fatty acids, treat that as a sign that you're not processing fats correctly. Make sure you're using the digestive enzymes with all your meals, Ultimate Enzymes. It probably would be a good idea for you to get on a little extra pancreatin. This is true for all fat malabsorption problems. Pancreatin, pancreatin. That can help you with fat malabsorption also. Take the pancreatin and the Ultimate Enzymes with your fatty nutrients and your EFAs, and also with all your meals. Finish off all your meals with apple cider vinegar. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Tara, and say that if you do everything I just told you, you should notice some pretty significant improvement in your baby's skin health. And I'd love it if you could stay in touch with me either via email ben@ksco.com or via the phone on the Bright Side, and let us know how you're doing, because you may be a work in progress and we can fine-tune it. Don't let anybody tell you, don't let any dermatologist tell you that your baby is going to be suffering for the rest of his or her life and there's no curative treatment, etc. And don't fall for the stupidity of diagnoses, the utter nonsense of inflammatory linear varicose epidermal nevus. I think you have a harump. I think your baby has ILVEN, ILVEN. No, he doesn't, or she. He's got an immune problem and an inflammatory problem of the skin. That gives you more power and more control than some nonsensical, idiotic Latin diagnosis. Does that help you, ma'am? And I'm sorry if I got all upset there. Does that help you, Tara?
Thank you. I will be calling somebody to repeat.
Oh, to repeat? You're cute. It's all on the archives. I know it's a lot of information. It's all on the archives, which should be up within an hour or two at brightsideben.com. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your call. I know I gave poor Tara a ton of information. Fats, fatty vitamins, immune system, food allergies. That's pretty much it. Fats, fatty vitamins, immune system, and allergies, and, of course, digestion of fats and fatty vitamins. All right. Let's see who's next on the line. Lucinda in Oregon, welcome to the Bright Side. What's going on?
Hello?
Hello, Lucinda.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much.
What's up?
Yes. Okay, well, what's been going on is I've been doing hot yoga for 6 months. That's the background.
That's torture. Is it Bikram's?
Yes.
I did it a couple times. I won't do it again. That was torture.
You get used to it. It's cool.
Okay.
And I also haven't fully recovered from a cold that I had 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I've been left extremely exhausted and weak.
Well, yeah, it's at Bikram's. It's at hot yoga. Of course you're going to be exhausted and weak.
Well, no, but part of the thing is I've heard about, the supplementation, because there's a lot of sweating, and that's necessary. So the things that I'm concerned about is my low energy level, and that's happened since the cold. It wasn't from the Bikram, I don't think.
You want some ideas for that?
Yes. Wait a minute. And I have a slight numbness in my left arm, and I'm also concerned because my hair has been losing its volume for over a year now, and I'm really worried about that.
Sounds like you got some thyroid issues here.
Yes.
And the way you deal with your thyroid is you deal with your adrenal glands. That's how you deal with the thyroid, folks. And I know iodine's important. Yes, indeed. And so are the B vitamins. So is selenium. So is sulfur. They're all important for the thyroid. But the first thing you want to do when you're dealing with a thyroid problem is focus on something that's burdening the body. Your adrenal glands are your burden glands. They call them the stress glands. It means something is burdening the body, and the adrenal glands are kicking in. Now, are you approaching menopause, postmenopause, perimenopause, anywhere near there?
Post.
Okay, postmenopause. So chances are that you've got some extra adrenal burden. Postmenopausal women, you stop making hormones in the ovaries after menopause, but you still make them in the adrenal glands. So if your adrenal glands are off fighting some kind of stress, either digestive stress or blood sugar stress, and now they got to make hormones too. They're always making hormones, but now they're the main hormone-making glands. Now you're really running risks for hypothyroidism, and indeed postmenopausal hypothyroidism is like an epidemic. So we want to get those adrenal glands stabilized. And the four main ways to do it. Number one is stabilize the blood sugar with more protein using nutrients that help you process sugars and laying off the sugars. And that means bread and pasta. And rice and potatoes and grains, etc. Anything that messes up your blood sugar is going to mess up your adrenal glands, which will cause low energy and hypothyroidism. And that does indeed sound like what you're dealing with. So more protein, less insulin spiking foods, and that includes fruit juices and fruits, and then using the sweeties from Youngevity as well as the Beyond Tangy tangerine, which can both help you with processing sugar. I wouldn't wait one day before I got on the BTT, by the way. I would do it right away. And then also the sweeties, and they'll help you process sugar. And then also, if you have any digestive problems, that can cause a burden or a stress on the body, which will tax the adrenal glands too. So you're going to need to correct any food allergies or digestive problems as well. And then working directly with the adrenal glands, there's a few things that you could do. Vitamin C is probably the most important vitamin for the adrenal glands, and zinc is probably the most important mineral for the adrenal glands. So in addition to your Beyond Tangy tangerine, you should probably be on 1,000 to 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, and you probably want to be on 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate a day. The adrenal glands are also responsive to salt, so in addition to your Beyond Tangy tangerine, you might want to get yourself some Celtic sea salt, put it in a cup of water, and sip on it all day long, or not sip on it all day long, just sip on it a little bit. What'll happen is you'll start to, the first couple sips of that salt water are going to taste delicious, and then gradually less and less delicious, and then when you don't want any more, you don't want any more. You've had enough salt. Do you find yourself craving salt, by the way, Lucinda?
No.
Not at all? You sure? Salty foods?
Yeah, I like salty foods.
Okay,
yes.
Well, that's the same idea. So that's a sign that the adrenal glands are starting to get a little stressed out. And then also deep breathing, slow deep breathing can be a panacea for the adrenal glands. So make sure you're practicing your slow deep breathing techniques. So you got the adrenal. I wouldn't even worry about the thyroid directly for now, although iodine is certainly important, and you probably want to get on some nascent iodine or iodoral just because it's a great supplement. But really you want to focus on blood sugar issues, digestive issues, and then in terms of the adrenal glands, on making sure you're getting enough salt, making sure you're getting enough zinc and vitamin C as well, and practicing your deep breathing techniques. So focus on
will that help the hair issues as well?
Heck yes. Long term, hair takes about 6 months. By the time you see your hair is not coming out, it's been anywhere from 3 to 6 months that it hasn't been forming correctly underneath your scalp. So that'll take a little bit more time, but what you'll notice is more energy. And as you have more energy, the rest of the symptoms will start to improve, including hair. I want to take a couple more calls. All right. Last we spoke, we said, as we always say on the bright side, all disease is cell disease, and the outer coating on a cell, the cell membrane, that's the key to cell disease. So if all disease is cell disease, all cell disease is cell membrane disease, and that makes that cell membrane so important. The covering of the cell is no mere covering at all. It is the brains of a cell. It is the intelligence of a cell. It is the communication and information processing section or device of a cell. It is literally a biological computer chip. If you're an electronics kind of person, if you're an electronics engineer kind of person, if you like computer chips, if you like the computer world and you like computer jargon, you would call a cell membrane a semiconductor, a liquid crystal semiconducting information processor, and that is the coating on every one of the 100 trillion cells in the human body. The more you understand how the body is constructed, even at the cell level, the more it looks like the body is just this incredible biological computer. The connective tissue is a computing type of device. The cell membrane is a computing type of device. Certainly the brain is a computing type of device. The digestive tract is a computing type of device. Our DNA is digital information stored in this compact kind of fashion that would fill volumes and volumes and volumes and libraries and libraries and libraries if you added all of the information that is contained in the 80 billion miles of DNA that are in our body. But the cell membrane is where really the activity takes place when it comes to health and wellness, or lack thereof. The cell membrane contains little locks on it that interface with keys that we call hormones. The interaction between hormones and the locks on the cell membrane accounts for the health or the lack of health of a cell. Some hormones can penetrate through the cell membrane and then do their work inside a cell. Others stop at the outside part of the cell membrane. But either way, if the outer coating of a cell, the cell membrane, is defective, the signals that get into a cell will be defective as well. So I don't want to get into too much details. I just want you guys to be as amazed by this system as I am. And so we're going to just dive right into some of these nutritional strategies, some of the nutritional strategies that you can use if you have zits, if you have pimples, plaques, if psoriasis, little hard bumps, milia, keratoses, whatever. I just want to address the nutritional strategies for keeping the outer coating on a cell, the cell membrane, healthy to help reverse skin diseases like acne. Have you guys caught this commercial, by the way, on TV for adult acne for a drug called Dapsone? The technical name for Dapsone, the generic name for Dapsone actually, I'm sorry, the drug name is called Axone, but the generic name is called Dapsone. In any case, this is a drug that's used to treat leprosy, and they want you to take it for your adult acne. They got a picture of some gal, and she's all freaked out about her adult acne. She thinks people are all staring at her zits and staring at her adult acne. So, of course, she's going to be so desperate to cure her adult acne that she's going to go to her dermatologist and get this leprosy drug. Literally, it's a leprosy drug called Dapsone to treat her adult acne. Folks, if you got adult acne, if you got childhood acne, if you got any kind of acne or any skin diseases, you don't have a prescription drug problem. And surprise, surprise, no matter what you hear on the commercials or no matter what you hear from your well-meaning, if misguided dermatologist, you cannot control your adult acne or any acne using a prescription drug. So yesterday we said that the cell membrane, this locus of disease, the point of disease in a cell, the cell membrane, it's mostly composed of fats and cholesterol, for that matter. In fact, it's mostly cholesterol, which is a type of fat. And that means for all skin diseases, whether it's acne or whether it's psoriasis or whether it's eczema, all skin diseases that show up as too much or too little keratin, that hard protein, acne, pimples, zits, psoriasis, eczema, whatever, you want to focus on fats and fat absorption. Fats and fat absorption, or really fat malabsorption first. This is the first thing to focus on when you're dealing with any skin health issue. Fats and fat malabsorption. So number one, make sure you're using digestive enzymes after all your meals. Get on the ultimate enzymes. It's not specifically for the skin, but it's specific for helping you absorb nutrients like vitamin A, which we're going to be talking about here in a little bit, and vitamin E, which we'll also be talking about here in a little bit, and of course, essential fatty acids. It turns out that acne-prone skin has deficiencies in essential fatty acid. The liquid oils, the sebum, as it's so called, tends to be lower in omega-6 fatty acids, and this can happen either from a lack of intake or from a lack of absorption. So make sure, if you're dealing with a skin health issue, pimples or psoriasis or eczema, that you're using digestive enzymes after all your meals, especially fatty meals. Number two, get yourself on the BioLumin Nightly Essence. Get yourself on probiotics. This is one of the most important benefits that we don't really talk about a lot, about a good probiotic supplement. They improve the metabolism and the processing of dietary fats. BioLumin Nightly Essence also has digestive enzymes in it as well, which is why it's my favorite probiotic supplement. And you find out all about it at brightsideben.com. So number one, ultimate enzymes. Number two, BioLumin Nightly Essence. And hang tight, we'll talk about a few more nutritional strategies for helping improve fat malabsorption, fat absorption, and helping improve skin conditions like acne, eczema, psoriasis, keratosis, milia, whatever. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. Okay, so if you're dealing with zits, you're dealing with acne, you're dealing with psoriasis or eczema or skin issues, you don't have a prescription drug issue, and there's no prescription drugs that are going to get rid of your zits anyway. The fact of the matter is, if you got a pimple formation, you got any kind of skin problem, you got a skin cell problem, the same as if you have any health issue. So what do? Well, the skin cell is largely, the health of the skin cell is largely dependent on the coating, the outer part, the brains of a cell, the cell membrane. So focusing first and foremost on cell membrane health is key, and that means fats and fat absorption. If you're dealing with any kind of fat malabsorption issue, you're likely to have a skin problem. In fact, that's like a skin issue is diagnostic almost it's an identifying feature almost of fat malabsorption issues. So focus on how you absorb fats. Use your ultimate enzymes after meals. Use the BioLumin Nightly Essence, 6 capsules a day, at least 3 capsules a day. Use pancreatin. I love pancreatin. Pancreatin is a pancreatic enzyme complex. You can get it at health food stores, especially if you have any kind of pancreas issue, pancreatitis or diabetes, or if you have deficiencies in stomach acid. That can affect the pancreas as well. You can get pancreatin real inexpensively, and that's another great way to deal with fat malabsorption issues. Keep in mind, if you're not absorbing fats, if you have fat malabsorption, and 30% of Americans have fat malabsorption problems, this is a key sign that you may not be absorbing your fatty vitamins, and that can have a really important impact on the formation of zits or milia, those hard little bumps that form on the skin, especially when it comes to vitamin A. Vitamin A, vitamin anabolic. That's what I call vitamin A. Anabolic means building, and vitamin A is a building vitamin. Vitamin A turns on the production of proteins. And that makes vitamin A a really important skin cell vitamin. Skin cells are making these hard proteins, and that's where you get the hard bumps, the milia, the keratoses, the pimples. And vitamin A is a key player in the production of the hardening proteins that come out of the skin cells. Keratin, specifically. All vitamins are going to play a role in building on some level, but vitamin A and its colleague, vitamin D, are directly involved in the building process via genetics. Vitamin A is an epigenetic factor. That means it's even superior to genetics. Epigenetics means it turns on genes. Doc Wallach's got a book coming out, actually probably any day now, called Epigenetics, which is all about the vitamin and nutritional supplement link to genetics, how vitamins and nutrients can actually turn genetics on. Vitamin A turns on the genetics that produce keratin, that produce protein. And if you're dealing with a fat malabsorption issue, if you've had a gallbladder removed, if you have a liver problem, remember 30% of Americans have liver problems, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. If you got a liver problem, if you have a gallbladder problem, if you have an intestinal problem, Crohn's disease, if you got a stomach acid problem, you're not making enough stomach acid, if you have a pancreas problem, you can see where we're going here. We're probably covering 80% of Americans when you add in all the potential ways you can have fat malabsorption issues. In any case, if you have a fat malabsorption problem, you're going to be deficient in fatty vitamins like vitamin A. And if you're dealing with milia and hard bumps on the skin, or acne, or psoriasis, or eczema, it's almost a guarantee that there's some kind of impairment in fat absorption. Vitamin A is particularly important for keratin production. In fact, the go-to medical treatment, the go-to dermatological treatment for excess keratin is vitamin A cream, specifically retinoic acid, also known as Retin A. It's the one dermatological treatment, prescription medicine, that can be said to really work. Yesterday I went on a little rant on dermatology. I'm sorry about that, because I have a lot of friends who are dermatologists, but it's the science, so-called science of dermatology that I have such a problem with, because if you go to a dermatologist, you're more than likely going to end up with steroid creams and antibiotics, or Dapsone, anti-leprosy medicine for your acne. Can you believe this? In fact, dermatological medicine accounts for one of the main reasons for our antibiotic resistance crisis, the fact that so many people are resistant and so many antibiotics don't work. So many bacteria are resistant to antibiotics. In my opinion, dermatological overtreatment or incorrect treatment accounts for one of the major reasons for our antibiotic resistance crisis. One of the first things we learn in pharmacy school is you never stay on an antibiotic for more than 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Bacteria adjust very quickly because they're reproducing quickly. Bacterial evolution takes place in a matter of weeks. The same kind of evolutionary process that takes millions of years in human beings can take just a matter of months in terms of bacteria. If you're on a drug an antibiotic like tetracycline or erythromycin for long term, more than likely you know that your erythromycin or your tetracycline or antibiotic isn't working over the course of months and years. In fact, over the course of months and years, your antibiotic doesn't work anywhere near as well as it used to work. But it's still damaging the digestive tract, and it's still costing you nutrition. Nothing screams metabolic issues. Nothing screams biochemistry that's messed up more than adult acne. A lot of adult acne is nothing more than digestive issues and food intolerance. This is so tragic to me. I see adults, women especially, in their 30s and 40s, even in their 50s, and they've got these digestive conditions on their skin, and they're being treated with acne medicine or antibiotic medicine or anti-leprosy drugs, and all they really need to do is focus on their digestive health. Other forms of adult acne involve the sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone, and that always means fat malabsorption issues. In fact, in my 30 years of experience of working with the skin, it's a rare woman who has adult acne that doesn't also have fat malabsorption issues. And usually the adrenal glands are involved too. The adrenal glands are also making female hormones and male hormones. But either way, whether your adult acne is digestive or whether your adult acne is hormonal, the last thing you need is an antibiotic. What's an antibiotic going to really do? It's going to kill bacteria. But bacteria is not the problem when you have acne. We all have bacteria on our skin. We all have acne bacteria on our skin, but only a select group, a narrow sliver of the population has breakouts. That's because it's not a bacterial issue. Adult acne, all acne really, is number one a hormonal issue and number two a digestive issue at times. All right, so much more to talk about here, and I think we'll get to all this. We'll continue this discussion on acne and keratin, the hard protein keratin, tomorrow. We'll also tell you why keratin's not just a skin protein. You know, if you have digestive health issues, you also may have a keratin problem. We'll tell you what I mean. I'll tell you what I mean tomorrow as we continue on the bright side. We're coming back with your phone calls right after this. Don't